Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Jaya Rajajana Ranjana Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Rajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Kunja Vihari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari. So I welcome you all here in the Srimad Bhagavatam class. So we are reading the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 8, verse number 14. So please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 So 10th canto, chapter 8, verse number 14. So first we'll, so there are 3 shlokas today, verse 14, verse 15, and verse 16. So I'll recite and then you guys can repeat in your own place. Only one time we'll recite one shloka as we have 3 shlokas, and then we will go through the translation and purpose. Prag ayam vasudevasya Vachit jatas tav atmaja Vasudeva iti Shriman Abhigya samaprachakshate. Then next shloka. Bahuni santi namani Rupani cha sutasyate Guna karmanu Rupani Tanyaham vedano jana. And then the 16th shloka. Eshava Shreya Adhasyad Gopa Gokul Nandana Anena Sarva Durgani Yuyam Anjastarisyatha. Reading the translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation of the 14th shloka. For many reasons, this beautiful son of yours sometimes appeared previously as the son of Vasudeva. Therefore, those who are learned sometimes call this child Vasudeva. Purport. Garga Muni indirectly disclosed. This child was originally born as a son of Vasudeva. Although he is acting as your child, generally he is your child, but sometimes he is the son of Vasudeva. Next shloka. For this son of yours, there are many forms and names according to his transcendental qualities and activities. These are known to me, but people in general do not understand them. Purport. Bahuni, the Lord has many names. Advaitamacchatamana dimananta rupam madhyam purana purusham navayovanam cha. As stated in Brahma Samhita, the Lord is one, but he has many forms and many names. It was not that because Garg Muni gave the child the name Krishna, that was his only name. He has other names such as Bhaktavatsal, Giridhari, Govinda, Gopal. If we analyze the Nirukti or semantic derivation of the word Krishna, we find that Na signifies that he stops the repetition of birth and death. And Krish means Satartha or existence. Krishna is the whole of existence. Also, Krish means attraction and Na means Ananda or bliss. Krishna is known as Mukunda because he wants to give everyone spiritual, eternal, blissful life. Unfortunately, because of the living entity's little independence, the living entity wants to deprogram the program of Krishna. This is the material disease. Nonetheless, because Krishna wants to give transcendental bliss to the living entities, he appears in various forms. Therefore, he is called Krishna. Because Garga Muni was an astrologer, he knew what others did not know. Yet Krishna has so many names that even Garga Muni did not know them all. It is to be concluded that Krishna, according to his transcendental activities, has many names and many forms. The 16th shloka. To increase the transcendental bliss of the cowherd men of Gokul, this child will always act auspiciously for you. And by his grace only, you will surpass all difficulties. Purport. For the cowherd men and the cows, Krishna is the supreme friend. Therefore, he is worshipped by the prayer, Namo Brahman Devaya Go Brahman Hitaya Cha. His pastimes in Gokul, his dham, are always favorable to the Brahmanas and the cows. His first business is to give all comfort to the cows and the Brahmanas. In fact, comfort for the Brahmanas is secondary, and comfort for the cows is his first concern. Because of his presence, all people would overcome all difficulties and always be situated in transcendental bliss. Now we'll be reciting prayers. Om Agyantimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Tapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagra Jatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Savadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Nitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhescha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So thank you everyone again for joining us today at the Bhakti Center and everyone who is joined online. And before I begin today's discussion, I am humbly seeking all of your blessings so that we can glorify Krishna, especially all the senior devotees gathered here online and at the Bhakti Center. Please bless me so that we can come together and glorify Krishna and be immersed in the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna. So we have three very beautiful shlokas. We are in the section chapter 8, which is titled Krishna shows the universal form within his mouth. And in that section, we are specifically here where Garga Muni is basically speaking to Nanda Maharaj. And by the way, we are in a cow shed, that because Nanda Maharaj wants it to be like very low-key. He does not want any attention. And that was the reason why he goes to pay taxes to Kamsa beforehand, like he himself only goes. So he's here, and we see that Garg Muni, first in first shloka, he says, for many reasons, this beautiful son of yours previously appeared as a son of Vasudeva. Therefore, those who are learned sometimes call this child Vasudeva. So this shloka is basically, in one sense, Garg Muni, as Prabhupada is writing in the purport, Garg Muni is basically disclosing that he is actually, Krishna is the son of Vasudeva, and that's why he will be called Vasudeva. One very important point I would like all of us to note here, that actually the name Krishna is so intimate that only people who were close to Krishna would call him Krishna. Krishna was more famous in Vrindavan. And as soon as Krishna goes out of Vrindavan and he's in Mathura and he's in Dwarka, or he even comes to Hastinapur or Indraprasth, if someone would ask Krishna, he would introduce himself as with the name Vasudeva. And that's why our acharyas say that when Krishna leaves Vrindavan, he basically only the Vasudeva part, only the Vishnu part leaves Vrindavan. And the Krishna, the intimate Krishna, he never leaves Vrindavan. He always stays in Vrindavan. And that's why Krishna never left Vrindavan. So that's one point to note here. The second shloka of today's discussion, Garg Muni is saying that this son of yours, there are many forms and names according to his qualities and activities. And then he's saying, these are known to me, but people in general do not understand. So he's also hinting, that there are so many names and forms of your son, and people will not understand them. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is explaining the meaning of the word Krishna. So he gives two meanings basically for us to remember. Krish means whole of existence, and Na means one who stops that existence. And another, he says, Krish means attraction, and Na means Ananda, one who gives you a lot of Ananda, bliss, one who is the most attractive. So, and then Prabhupada is saying Krishna is known as Mukunda because he can give you spiritual, eternal, blissful life. So that's the other part where it's going on, that Garga Muni knows something, and Prabhupada is saying that still he also doesn't know them all. And what we conclude out of this is Krishna has many names and many forms depending on his activities. And the next shloka is how Krishna is always working to increase the transcendental bliss of the cowherd men of Gokul. And in the purport, Prabhupada is writing that Krishna, his first business is to give all comfort to the cows and the brahmanas. And then Prabhupada goes on to say that, in fact, comfort for the brahmanas is secondary. Comfort for the cows is his first concern. So that's the whole idea here, which we are looking at. So these are the 3 shlokas. So when I was reading these 3 shlokas, I remembered some other shlokas from Srimad Bhagavatam. Before I go there, let me just tell you a small story which is related to these different names or what we are discussing here today. So for the text 14, I would like us to remember the story of Muchukunda, which we would see towards the end of our discussion, whatever time we have. For text 15 also, the Muchukunda story would be there. And for text 16, we would be looking at this very simple story. This story basically happens many years ago in the age of Satyuga. And there are a lot of sages who have gathered at one place, and they are doing a yagya, fire sacrifice. And Narad Muni happens to go there. And Narad Muni goes, and then he asks these sages, so my dear sages, for whose satisfaction are you doing this yagya? And they say the Supreme Lord. And then Narad Muni says, so can you tell me who is the Supreme Lord? And the sages, they get confused. Who is the Supreme Lord? So the sages, they say, we have to really find this out. We have to do our investigation. That we are doing this yagya, we are giving this ahuti, or this offering to the fire. Whom are we worshipping? And then this task is given to one great Brahmin and a sage. His name is Bhrigu. And then Bhrigu Muni goes, and he says that, as far as I understand, there are 3 great personalities in this universe. There is Brahma, whom we all are aware that he is the creator of this universe. Then there is Vishnu, who we see that he is the maintainer of this whole universe. And then there is Lord Shiva, who is always in deep meditation and is known as the destroyer of this universe. And whenever there is anything wrong, these 3 are the ones who basically come out and help. So Bhrigu goes one by one. So Bhrigu is the son of Brahma, actually. And he goes there, and then basically his plan was to test the emotions of these 3 personalities. Now, I'll not go into the details of what exactly happens because there is a time constraint, but he goes and he disrespects his father, which is Brahma. Brahma gets very upset. Bhrigu leaves. Bhrigu says, I don't think the supreme person can get upset. He should have full control on his emotions. Then he goes to Shiva. Shiva happens to be his brother, because Lord Shiva in this world, although he is Adi, he's Anadi, but he appears through the middle of the eyebrows of Lord Brahma. So he's considered in one sense the son of Brahma, and then in one sense then the brother of Bhrigu. So Bhrigu goes to Lord Shiva's abode. Lord Shiva is peacefully sitting. Parvati is sitting on the lap of Lord Shiva. And Bhrigu starts insulting Lord Shiva with mean words. And Shiva is generally very peaceful. He's like he's Bholenath, like he is the simple one, innocent one. And then his other name is Ashutosh. He can be very easily pleased. But the other meaning of the name means he can also be very easily displeased. Ashutosh. And by his words, Shiva gets very upset. He takes up his trident. He says, let's settle this score now and in this very moment. Parvati calms him down. Bhrigu leaves. Bhrigu says, this guy also cannot, and this is transcendental Leela. I'm not judging any of the personalities. I'm just mentioning something. And then Bhrigu goes to Vaikuntha, where Lord Vishnu is residing, and he's lying on the serpent bed, and Mother Lakshmi is massaging the feet of Lord Vishnu. And then Bhrigu goes, and Bhrigu says that Bhrigu goes there, and still he's not acknowledged, because because Lakshmi is very absorbed in the service of Vishnu, while Vishnu his eyes are closed. So ultimately, Bhrigu, just in order to get attention, goes and kicks on the left side of the chest of Lord Vishnu in a big way. Now, just imagine, you are, or any person is there with his wife, and this one random person just enters the bedroom and then goes and kicks the man's chest. It's very natural that both the man and the wife would get very upset. Like, who are you? Why are you here? Why are you kicking me? Like, this is my place. But then Lord Vishnu immediately wakes up, picks the hand with his hands, like touches the feet with his hands of Bhrigu and says, "My dear Bhrigu, my dear sage, I hope you are not hurt. I'm very sorry if any hurt was caused to you." And he says in such a way that Bhrigu immediately melts. And he acknowledges that what he did was not right by kicking the chest of the Supreme Lord. And then he concludes that Vishnu is the Supreme. He goes and the investigation is over. But the story is not over. Now, because there is another story where Acharya is right, because he kicked the chest, the left side chest of the Lord, another pastime of the Supreme Lord starts. And because of that, Mother Lakshmi basically comes down to this earth, because she feels that her place of residence, which is the left side of the heart, heart, like how all of us, when we pay obeisances to the Supreme Lord and our Guru, we do it in a way so that our heart, our left side, is towards the deity or towards the personality, because we are giving our heart. While when we pay obeisances to some other person who is very respectable, we give from the right hand side. So similar way, Lakshmi feels, because that's a place of her residence, the heart of the Supreme Lord, she feels that maybe she did something wrong and she need to do tapasya, and that the place of her residence is being hurt. So she goes, and then when she leaves, wherever there is Lakshmi and Narayan, they are always together. They're not supposed to be separate. Energy and energetic are always together. So the Supreme Lord also descends. Now, I'll not go into the specifics and details of that story. It's a very beautiful story. But then the Supreme Lord basically descends on a hill. And he also goes into tapasya. And he's doing tapasya somewhere in South India. And slowly, Lord's body is covered by mud as a long time passes by. And it just became, the whole mud is covered by grass, and then this becomes part of the hill. The name of the hill is Venkata. And there is this cowherd man who basically goes regularly to that hill with his cows so that the cows can graze. And one fine day, the king, on whose order this cowherd man was doing his job, basically buys or a very beautiful cow and a calf. And it was assumed, and when the king bought, that this cow would be the most milk giving. Now, generally cows give milk because cows are mothers when they feel that affection, that love. That's why in Golok, we have Surabhi cows, because they have unlimited affection for Krishna. They give unlimited milk. So these cows are grazing, and this special cow, which has been bought, goes on a specific spot and basically empties her whole milk out there and that spot. Now, one day goes by, second day, third day. Now, what was going on, that this cow stopped giving any milk. And this cow was supposed to give the most amount of milk. So everybody is very curious what's going on. And the cowherd man gets a lot of chastisement from the king and from his superiors. So the cowherd man goes and he hides in the bushes to see what's going on. So he sees that this cow is emptying her milk at a particular spot, which also become wet, because every day she would do this. The cowherd man, he becomes so upset and angry that he had an axe nearby. He just takes the axe and just throws towards the cow. That because of you, I'm going to I'll not be allowed to do this job. I'll be like unemployed. I might even die. The king might get very upset with me. And he basically throws this eggs towards the cow. And immediately, what happens that the spot on which the cow was giving milk immediately bursts and a personality comes out. And cow is behind this personality. So this personality becomes like a shield. And the eggs directly comes and hits the forehead of this personality. And blood starts to come out. And this blood goes to the cow also. And this personality is glowing. And suddenly this personality disappears. The guy is very shocked. First of all, like what he did in a fit of anger, he tried to kill a cow, which is a great sin. And then who this personality is. So again, not going into the story, this personality is Srinivas, or is Krishna himself, Govinda. That's why if you go to Tirupati now in South India, people climb the hill to see and take darshan of this deity. And he has a red mark here on the forehead. That red mark is now used as tilak, and with white thing here is used as tilak by Sri Vaishnavas, those who come into the Sri Vaishnav Sampradaya. But it's basically a wound, and the devotees have covered it with a paste to heal that wound. But that wound was for whom? For the cows. Lord took a hit for the cows. So this was a story which came into my mind, heart, when I was reading Srila Prabhupada's purport, that to what extent can the Supreme Lord go to protect the cows and to protect the Brahmins. There is another story of Sakshi Gopal, where how Lord basically becomes a witness in Vrindavan between two Brahmins, and how Lord basically, the deity, travels to make sure that his devotee gets married, and the whole thing is executed as per the promise which was made in front of him. So Lord goes, there are so many stories, so many pastimes of the Lord, which we can see and come up with, that how much he cares, how he's Bhakta Vatsal. His whole life and heart is for the devotees. That's the tilak he's wearing on his forehead. It's without tulsi, because he is wearing the mark of his devotees' feet on his head. So this is the Supreme Lord. So these are the two pastimes which came into my mind. The other pastime which came into my mind when I heard and when I read the word Vasudev is chapter 51. And in chapter 51, this is basically the chapter 51 is the deliverance of Muchukunda. And in that chapter, so Muchukunda, basically giving you guys a little insight, most of you might know that Muchukunda was a great warrior who was begged by the demigods to come and help them in their fight against the Asuras, the demons. And Muchukunda agrees, and he goes and he fights. Many eons pass by, and then the demigods win the war. And ultimately, Muchukunda is done, and he comes back to his place. But when he comes back, there is no city, there is no kingdom, there is nothing. So many millennia have passed by, because the time of the demigods is different than the time of the human beings. And demigods live a very, very long life. So Muchukunda says, I don't know what to do. And at that time, Kartikeya, who is the commander-in-chief of the demigods, appears and says, we are so grateful to you. Please tell us, what can we do for you? And Muchukunda just says, like, what is there remaining in my life now? My family, my kingdom, everything is finished. I don't know what to do with this. And then he thinks, maybe, I should just wait till the time the Supreme Lord arrives. That's the thought in his heart. So he says, I just want to sleep. Can you please arrange so that I'm not disturbed and I can sleep? And if anyone disturbs me, I should have the power to burn that person to ashes, turn that person to ashes. And Kartikeya says, yeah, so be it. So near Mathura, this Muchukunda is in a cave and he's sleeping. Now let's come to Mathura. Now Krishna is in Mathura, and there is this demon. His name is Jarasandha. And he comes 17 times to Mathura. He is the father-in-law of Kamsa, and he is very aggrieved that his two daughters, they are widowed by Krishna. So he wants to come and revenge and raise the whole city of Mathura to the ground. So he's attacking. He comes 17 times. 17 times he's defeated. And he comes with one Akshuni of army, which is a huge number of people. And every time he's defeated, and he's the only one who survives. And in a very disrespectful way, he's allowed to go back to his kingdom. And so Krishna tells to Balaram that I'm allowing him to do our work. I don't have to travel. This demon goes, he finds all the demons, he gets all the demons together, and he comes to the city so that we can do our work. That's why we are here. And the 18th time Jarasandha is coming, and that time another person comes. His name is Kalyavan, and it is said that this person was so lowly that Krishna even didn't want to see him. So we have to understand, even to see the Lord, even to be able to come across devotees, we need some sukriti, we need some grace, we need some pious credits. And that's the whole idea of why devotees go out, they do kirtan, they give books, they give prasad, so that people become qualified, people get mercy, and they can approach the Lord. So Kalyavan was so sinful that Lord didn't want to see. And that's why, although Lord was winning in the fight, suddenly Lord just leaves and just starts running away. Kalyavan was like so confused, like this guy was about to win, and suddenly he leaves. And Lord's activities are so disturbing to demons, especially. He is just so confused. What's going on? And then Kalyavan starts to chase. He thinks, okay, maybe he's running because he's scared of me. And he goes into that cave, and Krishna first goes into the cave, and Kalyavan is behind. And Kalyavan is only 10 steps behind Krishna. And acharyas say that's the state of even the atheistic philosophers and scientists, that they feel that I'm just this far away from finding the truth. But because they are not qualified, they are not able to crack that one particular problem or whatever they are facing. There's always a little bit behind, just not able to catch up. And in that fashion, Kalyavan goes, and then Krishna basically hides, and then Kalyavan sees that the person is sleeping with a blanket on his face, and Kalyavan is so confused. First of all, he was winning. Second, then he ran, and now this person, Krishna, is sleeping here. Such an insult. Kalyavan goes and kicks this person, and this person happens to be Muchukunda. Muchukunda wakes up, Kalyavan is turned to ashes, and then Muchukunda is looking here and there, and then he sees huge glow. And then Muchukunda basically understands that this is a great personality, and by common sense, when you are feeling inferior, you first go and you don't go and ask that, who are you? You say, I am this person, and then you say, can I know who you are? And in that fashion, he asks. And then the Lord basically says, what does the Lord say? So this is the verse number 36 in 51st chapter, 10th canto. Shri Bhagwan Uvacha, Janma Karbadhi Dhanani Santi me Nanga Sahasrasa Na Shagyate Nu Sankhyatum Anantavan Mayapi. The Supreme Lord said, my dear friend, I have taken thousands of births, lived thousands of lives, and accepted thousands of names. In fact, my births, activities, and names are limitless, and thus even I cannot count them. So the Lord is saying, I cannot count them. Then the next shloka, Lord says, after many lifetimes, someone might count the dust particles on the earth. So in many lifetimes, you might be able to count the dust particles on the planet Earth, but no one can ever finish counting my qualities, my activities, my names, and my births. And then Lord goes on to say, O King, the greatest sages enumerate my names and activities, which take place throughout the 3 phases of time, but never do they reach the end of them. And then the Lord said that in this, nonetheless, O friend, I'll tell you about my current birth, name, and activities. Kindly hear. And then he says, because I'm the son of Vasudev, people call me Vasudev. And with that pastime, I would open the class for discussion, comments, or any question.
Okay, thank you very much, Karuna Nimai. Great class. We invite questions, and in the meantime, I'll ask my question if I may. So Muchukunda tried 17 times before he got what he was asking for, right?
Jarasandha
Right,
70 times, but he didn't get it because 18th time he didn't get Krishna. The whole city was empty. The 51st chapter is Muchukunda's deliverance. 50th chapter is how Krishna the city of Dwarka. So there is nobody in Mathura. There is no city, there is no Krishna, there is no Balaram. So although Jarasandha comes 18th time with all his army, thinking I won, but then nothing there, basically. So he is very, very frustrated.
Okay. And my question is how, so sometimes we want to get something done for Krishna and it doesn't really, we don't get the result. How many times should we try? Maybe it's not what Krishna wants. How do we know when it's something that Krishna wants and we should keep trying, or when it's time to move on and do something else?
That's a very, very nice question. The question, Anand Bihari Prabhu, I think all of you heard, so I don't have to repeat it. I would say, Prabhu, that first of all, for Krishna, what matters most is not the achievement. What matters for Krishna is our sincerity, that we are trying to please Krishna. Krishna Anandaya, like what am I trying or what am I doing in my life that is giving pleasure to Krishna, pleasure to my Guru. So that is first. Now, second is that to what extent shall we try? So I would just say that we should be always in guidance with Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. And as per nectar of instruction, we should not over-endeavor. Now that over-endeavor thing cannot be generalized. Now, maybe for me, my capacity is that I can try 5 times, but Anand Bihari Prabhu, your capacity can be that you can try 108 times. Now, it depends from person to person. But the real principle here is that when am I doing it? Am I really working for the pleasure of Krishna? Am I always remembering Krishna? Am I forgetting Krishna? And I'm just so perplexed and this achievement for Krishna has become my own achievement and my own pursuit. So it's all about the consciousness here. And we should always accept what is favorable for devotional service and reject what is not. And that's why I said consultation with Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. You can just catch a friend and say, hey, Prabhu, I'm trying to achieve this for Krishna. And I've tried like Jarasandha 17 times. Do you think 18th time will be my time that I'll get it? And then the Prabhu will tell you. And just like Krishna is very straightforward when Krishna is not the Guru of Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita in the first 2 shlokas. He just smashes Arjuna. Similarly, our devotee friends who have spent some time in Krishna consciousness can be very straight and they can tell you and give you the right advice.
Yeah, beautiful. In this regard, Srila Prabhupada's personal example is very inspiring. He got his guru's instruction. His guru told him, go for it. And he went for it. It took him years to fully fructify. And then look at this Zoom class. Look at Rich. Look at the Bhakti Center temple room. We're all here because Srila Prabhupada kept on trying. He had his guru's empowerment, his guru's instruction. How wonderful is Srila Prabhupada.
But he always was very aware of that. This is for my guru. This is for pleasure of Krishna.
Right. I saw Jamuna Jaya's transcendental love in hand raised. Jamuna Jaya, are you still on this call?
Yes, I am. It's a very slight thing. I just wanted to say thank you for telling the story of Uchikanda. When I was first reading the Bhagavatam, I saw that picture of the guy with the lasers coming out of his eyes, and I had to know what was going on. So that was something that really motivated me to find out, like, what is happening here? And I haven't heard someone tell that story in a long time. So I want to thank you for that. And it's just, this discussion is just really profoundly making me remember how lucky we are and fortunate are that we can chant the holy names, that this name Krishna is not to be taken lightly, and it is to be taken seriously. It is such a serious thing, such an intimate thing, and how lucky we are that we are able to take that name. So as you were breaking down the definition, and there are many names, but this name Krishna that we have the opportunity to dance in our tongues so many times during the day, we're to not take it lightly, and it's a good emphasis for us to remember in our japa. So I just want to thank you for that reminder. Very cool.
Thank you, Jamuna. Anyone would like to ask question from the Bhakti Center temple?
Yeah, I was wondering, you told the story of how Krishna takes measures to protect the cows, personally protect the cows. But someone might be wondering, why is there so much cow slaughter going on nowadays? And it seems Krishna's not intervening.
So thank you for asking that question, Prabhu. It's the same thing what we see in this world when we see that we might see with our we might perceive that there is so much persecution happening of the devotees at certain places in the world, or devotees are going through a lot of hardships. If you know, in your circle or somewhere in the other part of the world, you may see devotees are really going through a lot of hardships. If Krishna is the protector of devotees, if he is always there, so we have to understand that what kind of protection are we talking about? We are talking about the protection which is the most vital for that personality at that very moment. Sometimes the cows go through that hardships because that's part of their karma, and they have to go through that hardship. And there are more details to this of like why slaughterhouses have been made, why all these things are happening. This is the age of Kali. These things happen. And where is Krishna? Well, Krishna is still there. Krishna is still protecting them. Krishna protects their consciousness. And yeah, that's what I would say. Can anyone would like to add some points to this?
There's a question from Rich.
Yeah, Rich has a good question.
Very burning question from Rich in the chat. Can you read that, Karuna Nimai Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. I have not been. Yes. Text 15 purport. Yet Krishna has so many names that even Garg Muni did not know them all. If Krishna's names, forms, pastimes, qualities, etc. are so numerous than the dust particles on the earth, how does an aspiring devotee properly center his or her attention on the Lord, especially in this age of brief lifespan, distraction, anxiety, paradise? So no one is saying here that, or Bhagavatam is not saying that we need to know all the names of Krishna and all his qualities, all his forms and all his pastimes. Even Krishna himself, I read the literal translation here, says, even I don't know all my names. That's what Krishna is saying. Verse 35th onwards in chapter 51 of 10th canto. Krishna himself is saying that. Ananta Shesh, on whose hood the whole universe is there. He is reciting the name of the Lord constantly, and still the names have not ended. So the point here is not to know all the names. The point here is that in my tiny lifespan, how can I make the best use out of this bad bargain that I'm captured in this, I'm in this body, and do devotional service so that I can realize the real meaning of the word Krishna. I can come out of the existence, of this whole existence, of this cycle of birth and death, and be spiritually enlightened and rekindle my relationship with Krishna and understand my purpose of life, why, and be self-realized, understand I'm a spirit soul, and then be with Krishna in the spiritual world by the grace of Guru. So does that answer your question, Rich Prabhu? Thank you. So now coming to Evan Prabhu's question. Evan Prabhu really raised a very, very nice question. Anyone would like to say or comment on his question, why this is happening in the world? In a very succinct way.
Aaron and I were talking about how maybe these cows who are being slaughtered so extensively are people who have slaughtered cows in the past. And so it says, like, if you kill a cow, you have to take birth 2,000 times for every hair on the cow's body as a cow and get slaughtered. So maybe they're just getting that coming back to them. But anyway, this world is a very minuscule portion of the creation. And this time we're living in is not all of time. And there's Krishna is protecting everyone and caring for everyone perfectly, even when he chastises people.
Haribol.
Bhima.
I would just like to say very quickly, it's amazing. I was thinking precisely that thought about all these poor cows. I raise animals myself, and I'm going to be helping to establish an Ahimsa dairy up in Poughkeepsie, New York. But I was thinking about that, all the these, I've seen them, anybody who has spent time with any animal let alone a cow in the mode of goodness, you see that there's a person in there, and you're thinking, oh my God, and this compassion rises up in your chest. It's actually a palpable, visceral feeling of compassion. And so even if you know that this, oh, well, this must be a person who in their last life did blah, 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 and now they're in line in the slaughterhouse, and it's so set, but you feel that natural compassion because of the form of the cow, that now this person is in the mode of goodness, and they are very dear to Krishna in that cow form. And yet they have to go through this process. And yet the devotee is feeling this natural compassion when they see the cow, whether the cow is lucky enough to be out to pasture and being raised appropriately, which is less than 0.01% of cows in America, or the 99.99% of cows who are treated atrociously. But our compassion rises up in us. So these souls that are in these cows' bodies, we see that the devotee has this natural compassion for even the most fallen, or the people who are responsible, the person, the soul, the jiva that finds itself in a cow's body. So it completely turned me on my head when I realized that these cows might be this in a past life, but in this life, all I can feel is compassion. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Bhima. Krishna Daya Prabhu, please.
Haribol Prabhu. Yeah. So thank you for the question. So whenever such question comes, so I would like to focus on this point, like Parikshit Maharaj, because of whom we got this Bhagavatam. So he was protected when he was in his mother's womb. But at this time, like when, so he was cursed by the sage. So he was apparently not protected. So, but that does not mean that Krishna is not protecting him. So even in Bhagavatam also, there are multiple instances where devotees have left their bodies and then painfully. So as you pointed out that what it means by protection. So that is what is the definition which we have to remember. So the basic definition, what it means by protection. Is it the physical protection, or it's like attaching ourselves to Krishna more?
I would just summarize what Adi Purush Prabhu said and all the other devotees mentioned, that when we see atrocities happening on cows or Brahmins or devotees, we understand that maybe at this point, we don't have the higher intelligence that we can understand what's the plan of the Lord. And maybe in this point of time, which is again, Kali Yuga is very small, and then planet Earth is very, very like dust particle in the universe. There are so many unlimited universes that these atrocities are happening for a very short span of time. And yes, the law of karma can be given that these are the people who are supposed to suffer, or it can be said that this is just the pastime of the Lord, and then he has a greater plan for the devotees and for the cows. But how shall we approach these people who are in atrocity? Shall we condemn them? Oh, because you are suffering because you're sinful? We always try to protect and do whatever we can that pleases Krishna. So that's my take on it. Anyone would like to ask any other question? I think the altar is opening in Bhakti Center, but because I'm not in Bhakti Center, so I can maybe here for another 5 minutes if you guys would like to say, comment on anything, or criticize me.
Beautiful class, beautiful Q&A. You handle those questions masterfully, Karuna Nimai Prabhu. Beautiful.
Learning from you. Okay. Jai Jai Shri Radha Mulidhar Gaur Chandra Bhagwan ki Jai. Jai. So thank you so much, everyone. And thank you, Angelica. You are a
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The lotus feet of our spiritual master.
Thank you, everyone.
Hare Krishna. I could hear the conch shell in my apartment. So powerful.